Welcome back, Honors 10. Today our goal is to take a look at pronoun antecedent agreement and to take a look at the way that some antecedents can trick us into using the wrong pronoun. Now it's a lot like subject-verb agreement, but pronouns have to agree with the word that they replace, which is called their antecedent. So the basic rule is that they have to agree in both gender and in number. So if I don't know the gender of my antecedent, that's when I use his or her. If it's a plural antecedent, then I'm going to use they. Some of our antecedents can be tricky though, just like yesterday's tricky subjects. And truly, the same rules apply in both cases. So the first way we can have a tricky antecedent is to have an indefinite pronoun be the antecedent for another pronoun. And that same list that we talked about yesterday of indefinite pronouns that were singular when they were working as subjects, they're still going to be singular when they're working as the antecedent. So we just need to make sure that we review those lists and apply that knowledge to choosing the correct pronoun as well. Okay, here we're dealing with indefinite pronouns as the antecedent to the pronoun we need to choose. So in the first sentence, everybody has lost his or her or their card. Well, his or her or their is referring to the indefinite pronoun everybody. Everybody is singular, and so I need to choose the singular pronouns his or her. I need to get a darker marker. When we take a look at that second example, few of the runners had stretched his or her or their legs. Now again, don't be confused by prepositional phrases. Of the runners is a prepositional phrase. So my antecedent is actually few. Few is always plural, so I choose the plural pronoun their. The second trick of an antecedent, just like subject-verb agreement, can be a compound antecedent. And so there too, just like subject-verb agreement, it depends on the conjunction that's being used. If two antecedents are joined by and, then they're plural, and you choose the plural pronoun they, their, or them. If they're joined by or nor, the pronoun should agree with whatever antecedent is closest to it. When I take a look at compound antecedents, again I have to pay attention to the conjunction. So here I have the guide and the ranger wrapped his or her or their. Well, I have two antecedents, guide and ranger. They're joined by the conjunction and, which means they're plural, which means I choose the plural pronoun their. In the second example, my two antecedents, Heidi and Beth, are being joined by the word nor, which means I need to choose the pronoun I need to choose the pronoun by the antecedents that's closest to it. So my antecedent that's last is Beth. Beth is singular, so I choose the singular pronoun her. So remember, we have to agree with what's ever closest with conjunctions that are joined by or nor. So these two sentences are the same, but I would choose my pronouns differently based on the order of the antecedents. Because these are joined by or here, teachers is closest. Teachers is plural, so I choose the plural pronoun their. Here though, since I put student closest to the pronoun after an or, and student is singular, I have to choose the singular pronoun his or her. I don't know if this student is a boy or a girl, so I have to give both options as the pronoun. The third tricky way an antecedent can make us choose the wrong pronoun is if it's a collective antecedent. Remember, those collective nouns are words like team or jury or class or flock. There we have to look at what that group is doing. If they're all acting together, they're singular. If they're acting as individual parts, they're plural. So if they're singular, we choose his, her, or its. If they're plural, we choose they or them. Collective nouns are the groups where we need to take a look at if they're acting together or individually. So the class is looking forward to its or their field trip. Class is the antecedent. Since they're all going on one field trip together, class is singular, which means I have to choose the singular pronoun its. But if I say the team made sure to wear its or their best jerseys, team, the collective antecedent, is working as a plural piece because they're all wearing individual jerseys. So I say their here. The last way we can be tricked by antecedent is with relative clauses. Just like yesterday, that was the hardest piece, and we have to pay attention to the pronouns that we use in our clauses as well. Once we figure out if the relative pronoun is singular or plural by looking at what the clause modifies, we have to make sure that the verb in the clause agrees with singular or plural, as well as any pronouns used in the clause have to agree with what the clause is modifying. And this is where it can sometimes look weird on the page. All right, time for the hardest part. She is one of those students who are always trying to perform his or her or their best. We've got to look at the clause. The clause is who are always trying to perform his or her or their best. This clause is modifying the word students. Students is plural. That's why I already have the plural verb are here. So that means I've got to also choose the plural pronoun there. Even though a lot of us might think it's trying to talk about she and would choose her best here, this clause is actually talking about students, which is plural.